God of War. An amazing 10 out of 10, award winning, all this stuff. Game of the year. Legendary game. Step in the right direction. Yeah, close one. One of the few, well, PlayStation exclusive at launch and then came to PC a bit later. A massive title. AAA. Up the wazoo. Everyone played it. Everyone beat it. Everyone lauded it. And then we have the new one. God of War Ragnarok coming out. Coming out very soon. Expectations are high. Game of the year. Will it be better than Elden Ring? The chatter and assumptions and the looking at the trailer and Fat Thor and all of this. But I don't think God of War is a 10 out of 10 game. And I got one really simple reason. After I beat it and did this beautiful Valkyrie dance, never played it again. And I don't think I'm alone. I think there are a number of people who their journey ended. They did the story. Maybe they finished after just finishing the story. Maybe they didn't even do the Valkyries. Didn't even kick these ladies' butts. Because they were bloody difficult. Maybe the RPG elements. The collecting, the world exploring. The OCD. I'll collect everything. I'll get all of this stuff. I'll get all the chests. I'll do everything I can in every single place. Maybe they didn't do that. They didn't play a Misselheim. Or do some of the, you know, the maze with the fog and the poison. They didn't get every single skill in the entire game. Get some cracked armor. I can upgrade those some more, but that's not a big. I'm not worried about it. You can get the boy Atreus some good stuff. Maybe they didn't. Maybe you didn't keep going. Maybe you just thought the story's enough. I enjoyed the story. Nothing else to worry about. So the RPG elements. Do they make people sweat? Go crazy? Focus on what armor looks best? As opposed to what's most, you know, good for your stats? But no, the reason why I think it's just... I just never felt the urge to play it again. The long sweeping sections, which are really carried by dialogue between you and Atreus, I don't want to experience those again. Those same conversations. I don't want to experience those same ones again in the boat. And the puzzles, average, I suppose. Average puzzles. I mean, in the boat puzzles, and the travel puzzles, raising the water, lowering the water with Jorgemund. All these things. The game, they're done. You know, I'm done. I'm thinking about what makes. And I'd love to have some comments, disagreements, arguments. I love it all. Because what is a 10 out of 10 game, I suppose, is the question. Let's go to... let's just go here. Is a 10 out of 10 game something you play 10,000 hours of? Or is it something you play 40 hours of, 50 hours of, and then never play again? Does it matter? Does it matter? Is it about having a long grind? Is it having long, winding story sections, travel sections, extended cutscenes, compelling narrative? A compelling narrative is obviously a positive. These are the boys. What are they doing? But I think replayability is a big part. Now, there is a New Game Plus. I never did it. There's no point. And that's kind of my point about God of War and going forward. I know plenty of you probably played the game multiple times. So you don't have the same issues I have, which is, you know, totally understandable. I hope you give me your opinions. Write it down for history's sake. Trying not to be too inflammatory, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm talking about my experiences, my feelings in the game, you know? Sometimes thoughts can't be articulated as well as we'd like, so we do have to kind of spew out some different feelings. Oh, there's a frog there! No, it's fine. Long walking sections, movement. So the question I have is probably... Oh, that's so bad. Do we speed up movement? Do we... In the next installment, in Ragnarok, what do they do? They're obviously going to use the your secondary weapon, so you can move forward. So I saw a motion in the trailer where you could pull yourself towards the enemies. So whether or not they're going to use grapple hook, no doubt in my mind they're going to use grapple hook using these. But what does that matter? Is this going to be... I mean, this is the burden of sequels, is that they do build upon the original. So I could walk around here and then say, oh, I'm playing, you know, I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. And you'd be like, no, you're not. It's not out yet. But it'd probably look the same. And you'll have different areas. You'd have different realms. And they'll be spicy looking. Maybe we'll explore the ones we didn't get to explore. Or we'll go to different parts of them. Because they make them seem very small. I suppose that's the other part. Where they could just expand the size of the world. And make all of it seem much larger. So you've only got that small section. But the whole realm is bigger than that. I mean, all of them. All of them aren't a small little spot. So you do have that flexibility. You can just expand and say, oh, we're going over here now. Or introduce new ones. But everything's completed. All of them done too as well. Come on, Ravens. All that. Some of the stuff I think that's quite poor. These challenges I think were quite poor. And not that they, you know, they aren't rewarding, but I don't know, I just don't feel they're massively rewarding. So it's always just experience. They could have had a special reward if you get the final one, like an item gives you a bonus damage against, ravens. That's the bloody thing. So trolls. So here's trolls a good example. So if you get the maximum gold, you kill 10 trolls, you should get a bonus damage against trolls. Like, they could have done a lot more RPG elements, a lot more stat bonuses, a lot more little nitpicky things that help those that are, you know, crazy enough to play the game to this point. There's my stats. Right, let's go show description. So, have I explained it? The game, when you start a new one, do you need modifiers? Do you need to have the same system that Resident Evil has? The most recent Resident Evil, and the old ones too, where you have the shop where you can buy with the special currency, like unlimited ammo and, you know, all sorts of little changes. Or do you buy like different filters, make it look different, or do you buy different modifiers, as in like makes all the enemies one type of enemy, make every enemy in the game a troll, all this sort of stuff for a console player, which give you more variability, give you more challenge, and then you get trophies that go with that, special equipment that goes with completing the most hard, ridiculous challenge. Because there ain't none of that on console. Now on PC, I'm sure you've got mods, and The fact that there are mods for PC should be kind of part of my point here. If the game was perfect, it wouldn't need mods. But, you know, mods add variety, add freshness, add all the stuff that I'm talking about that the game doesn't have. Now, when God of War Ragnarok comes out, I'm going to play it probably 60, 70 hours. Depending on how long it takes. And depending on what it's got to offer at the end. What does it have left? Once you beat the story, what is left to do? I mean, you traverse the world, you've been on your stupid boat. Goddamn stupid boat. For hours and hours and hours. What's left? What's left after that? Is there an endgame? I mean, you can collect your awesome armor set from doing the challenge in that terrible, terrible place. But what is there to do afterwards? Is there something? Is there a Colosseum? Is there going to be... I mean, I know it'd be insane to say. Why not have a freaking multiplayer? Why not have 1v1 arena at the end game? I mean, people have different styles of armor. The RPG elements are reasonable. People have different builds. So you would have the different Kratoses that you could fight each other. I mean, you don't have to have... I suppose you'd have to get rid of stagger. And you wouldn't be able to knock them in the air. And then that's the only way it'd be, you know, somewhat fair. But little things. Not incredibly... Not, you know, 6v6. Kratoses run around going, boy, again and again. But I feel like it's, you know, it's 9 out of 10. But there's a point there. And the point is something you can play for thousands of hours. And go, I played this game thousands of hours, and people go, oh, wow. You know, not, oh, no, League of Legends, you're crazy. They go, oh, wow. You know, there's... I feel like it's... You can say the same thing about a lot of games. And I suppose you're comparing it to Elden Ring, and that's the big conversation about. I've got 280 hours in Elden Ring, so that's not much. So, and then by saying that's not much, you know, that's still... it's still like 4 times more than I've got on this game, or God of War. The original God of War. It's like... What is time in a rating? And I think time does... It's so important. And it's kind of like... Oh, the game is only 10 hours, but it's awesome story, and it's, you know, whatever. You get through it, it's an enjoyable game. And then you never play it again. And you say, well, that's a 10 out of 10 game because, you know, it's perfectly designed, the character's great, and everyone's intriguing, it's well written, looks great, sounds great, etc. But you never play it again. I feel like... Now, some games, of course, are addictive. So playing for 1,000 hours is no indication of it being 10 out of 10. I mean, you can argue it. Can I get these frogs? Get these frogs. But I feel like it's part of that 9 to 10 point. That point of how you get to 10. Something that you can play again and again and again. Now, we all have old games that we can always go back and play. Mine is Final Fantasy VIII. I can always play Final Fantasy VIII. I love Final Fantasy VIII. That was the one I started off. I didn't play Final Fantasy VII. Yes, terrible. But it just holds a fondness in my heart that will never go away. Now, they've done a slightly remastered version, just the remaster of the characters and the machines, I mean the vehicles and that. But I want them to do the whole game remake, but then I don't want them to do what they've done with Final Fantasy VII and just do only one bit of it and then another bit and another bit. So I'm like torn. So I'm in that camp. So kind of from that perspective, God of War doesn't hold the fondness in my heart. Namely because of the stupid witch lady, and she's just a total biatch. And the headless dude, he's okay, but Atreus is a douchebag. And Kratos is he's pretty much a douchebag too. So, I don't like Atreus. And I didn't play the original 3 God of War, so I don't love Kratos. But I still think it's a really, really good game. So it's kind of that... was able to take me, who's a newbie to the franchise, and go, oh yeah, this is really good. And then the characters, I mean, the dwarfs are more likable than these two. But they're relatable. The story's relatable. So they're good, relatable characters. Atreus can be a bit of a... Yeah, he can be a bit odd at times. And yet it's still 9 out of 10. So it's like... I mean, it's doing so much right. The new one has the same characters. So my real worry, is that it'll follow the similar story beat. You'll still have, early on there'll be a big epic battle because, it needs to introduce that danger to make you feel like, oh my goodness, the stakes are really high now. It'll need to raise the stakes. So it wouldn't surprise me if we fight Odin at the end. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, that's kind of like implied at this point. And if we don't, we'll do it in the next one. Because that, not to cast aspersions, but they may feel encouraged to make another one after this and then release it in that sort of way. So we fight Thor at the end and then next one we go to Odin. I mean, I doubt we'll move over to, say, Indian mythology or... you never know. But it's kind of... I feel... So, it's all about... Oh, this is where I want people to contribute in the comments. If you're watching this, Tell me how you feel about it. Are you worried at all? You think it'll just be... They'll just give it Game of the Year and they won't even think about it. And then they'll look back and go... Do I love that game? Oh, it's a really good game. Everyone says it's a really good game. I thought it was really good. And then they go, I didn't love it. It's not a game. If I wasn't on an island, plane crash, the console survived, I've got a solar power panel, I've only got one game, would you be happy if the one game was God of War? Or would you be happier if the one game was Elden Ring? Because at least you get some more variety. And you can play the game in different ways. Vastly different ways. Or would you prefer a sport game, like a FIFA? I mean, the fact of the matter is replayability in sport games is really, really good. Because of that, you start a match, you're not sure, you're going to win or lose. You try your best. Different stuff can happen. If you're playing online with other people, you've got that variability. So are sport games unfairly maligned because they do tend to focus on core mechanic and then not expand and deviate from that too much to try and reach new heights. They get a bit content with their success and then they rely on stupid microtransactions. That's another kettle of fish. But at least, on that side of things, God of War never sold skins. Or did it? Did you get a special armor set when you pre-ordered? Wink, wink. Yeah, so they can do that shit too. So it's kind of like, well, hold one to one standard, hold one to another. I'm thinking about where to stand as I talk. Stare into the fire. That's a good spot. I like how he's back to me. Let's go into camera mode just so I can talk. Will he be happy at the end or will he die at the end? I mean, you can make that speculation. And what is happiness to Kratos? I mean, he had a mission. This whole title, God of War, he had a mission. Return the mother's ashes to where they need to go. And then, bond with the son was the other part of it. Get to know each other and, yeah, the son, oof. So at some point in the story, we're going to have that moment where we don't play as Kratos, we play just as Atreus. That, again, is incredibly obvious. It's kind of like you can pick a lot of the story from, just watching the trailer. Or not even watching the trailer, you can pick a bit of the story beat. But it's going to be that threat level. It's all about the threat. You're going to make the player think, oh, really got to step up now and beat that anonymous mob number 6,600. All the mobs being anonymous. Maybe they'll have more mini-boss types who have actual lines. Who, you know, feel like creatures in the world that actually have their own life and purpose and... You know, more... We won't see their civilizations, but maybe we should. In the other realms we go to, we should be able to see that they actually do, you know, eat, go to the toilet, live lives, and that you're killing them. You're actually, you know, robbing their community of vital members. So this is the other weakness, I suppose, of God of War, is that the world is weak. In that it doesn't feel, you know, it is a fantasy thing, but it's not fantasy. It's, I don't know, it's dour. It doesn't have... I mean, I'm sure we'll go to a realm straight away that'll have a whole civilization, actual civilization, something that doesn't seem to exist in this world. It's in the mountains. There's no one around here. So we'll get some civilization. We'll get Atreus playable. Maybe even switch between them during combat. That'd be pretty nice. We'll get maybe a new weapon. So what are we missing in the set? A sword? Yeah, maybe we get a sword. More ability crystal thingies, obviously. More variability in combat, probably more takedowns. You know, when you go to finish the enemy off, they did repeat a fair bit. So they'll have more variation there, I'd hope. It's something that they annoy me. So we'll have a more vibrant world is really my hope. And I'm like, sort of just end game. I don't know what they're going to do, but it'll be New Game Plus probably straight away again. Maybe they'll do filters and things. Maybe they'll do, you know, punishment. Super hard mode, one hit kill, you lose. You know, one hit in a death mode, and no revive, so you have to start the whole game again type things. They'll steal Soulsborne elements. Why not steal, you know, the punishing challenges people put on themselves, that, you know, just add those after you beat the game, of course. So again, will you want to play it again? Yeah, I don't know. It's like, that's the thing I'm concerned about. Will I want to play Ragnarok more than once? And there may be a selfish thought, because, you know, the game designers, they work so hard to make the game. It being good once, it being great once, that should be enough. You know, you shouldn't have to worry about the fish. Yeah, you shouldn't have to worry about players being able to play the game for hundreds of hours and be, you know, create a legacy in gaming that lasts forever. It's like, no. Just make something that's great. And people go, 10 out of 10, give them all the awards. And they get the awards, and then they don't play the game ever again. So, leave a comment. Say why you play the game again. You love the story. You think Atreus is the best kid in the whole universe. He's no Dennis the Menace. He's no Joffrey. He's Jon Snow. Jon Snow in kid form. But then Jon Snow was pretty average too. Do you love the dialogue? It's good the first time. How many times have you played the game? That's really what I'd like to get a feel as well. If everyone else has played the game 50 times and I'm off my rocker. But I don't know, just the way I feel about it is, say like that section over there, been there once. Water drops, you go back and then it's different because the water's dropped. So you have different layers of each area which you visit, but you're still visiting the same area. And you get that repetition. Oh, there's a new enemy type. It makes you think for a second, distract you. And then you repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Area explored, battle new enemy type, on the repeated enemies, beat the mobs again and again. Maybe get some new equipment that's okay, or average or whatever. Punch a hole in a chest and get some stuff out of it. The gameplay loop, I'm concerned people will get bored of it in Ragnarok. I feel like if it's the same loop, which chances are it will be, it'll grow old. It'll grow old. Like, I think a perfect example is The Last of Us. Now, the combat wasn't like God of War, but it was its own style. And then the second Last of Us came out, and the combat was very similar style. A bit more visceral, but it had the same feel to it. And people did get sick of it. They did dislike it. Now, the story and that was so bad that you had that problem. But then, that's the same company, Naughty Dog. So they may do the same thing and kill off Kratos in the first 5 minutes of the game. And you play as Atreus for the whole game. Which would be really, really weird. I doubt they'll do that, but wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, it's music and all that's really good. I think it's really good. Lighting and colors and everything's, I think it's good. There's a good variety in the realms. So there's going to be even more variety in the next one. I hope they don't repeat areas. So this area here is the one I'm worried about. We'll be here again. I'll be able to say, oh, this is God of War Ragnarok 2. Look, Ragnarok 2 gameplay. And you'd be like, is it? Just the nature of sequels, I suppose. I'm being a bit harsh. A bit harsh. I don't think God of War is the best game of all time. And I don't think it's been discussed in the top 10 of best games of all time. And I think that they can, find that sweet spot in Endgame where you do have something that can be replayed, that does feel rewarding, that does push you to that, say like they have a level cap that goes up, doubles, and push you to some elite spot. And then have something for you to do with it. I feel like there's something more they can find with God of War, something they haven't thought about yet. Like, is it in a freaking online mode where you just, you and another Kratos come in there and the Atreus, and then you're fighting a horde, like, endless wave of mobs together? Or is it 4-player, like, and there's endless mobs? Or, you have to work two stupid puzzles together? Or you defend an objective? Can they take what is great combat and then push it into something completely different? Something, could you have... Can you have any other part, some other creative thought of, okay, yes, we'll have the strong single-player campaign, and it'll have a great story, high stakes, fantasy figures, mythological figures, Thor. You maybe use Thor's hammer. You beat Thor, you get to use his hammer. You get some reward for the journey. The journey has to, be worthwhile. But then you have something, you beat the game, and you have something to look forward to. It's not, Oh no, I've beaten the game now. What do I have left to do? Oh, they've got... Oh, I'm missing 2 lore markers, 35 out of 37. Oh, I've got only 29 out of 34 artifacts. Oh, I'll have to find them. I'm like, I don't want to freaking find them. I've done the Valkyries. I don't need to do shit. I found all the stupid bloody Valkyries. They're bloody pain in the ass. Done all them, so... Is there something that they've got in the kit bag? Something they've thought of to make the people go, okay, this game's definitely better than Elden Ring? Can they tick that box and be like, yes, they've thought about the longevity of the game. They've thought of a way not to be, sucked into microtransactions, but a way to keep the game playable for a decade. I mean, okay, so another example here. Since I'm going on, might as well keep going. Who cares? So Skyrim has been remade 1,000,000 times, sold again and again. They made mods available on console, so you are able to do a whole bunch of different stuff on console. So it's sort of not nearly as much as on PC, but really good. So they opened the game up. And it's a game where you can go wherever you want. It's an open world game. You have freedom. You can design the journey you want. You can role play. You can do all sorts of stuff. Is Skyrim better than God of War? That would be the question I have for whoever is watching. If you're kind enough to listen to my ramblings. And then Skyrim has flaws. There's no walking away from that. But I've played a lot more Skyrim than I have of God of War. So is that just a testament to my insanity, or is that attributed to the quality of the game design itself? So it's that question of, do story-based games have a limit? So the Resident Evil, where you play it again and again and try and beat it as fast as you can. I'm sure people speed runs of God of War, but I don't want to watch the speed run of God of War. There's no point. But I watch a speed run of Resident Evil because you've got this similar set of challenges, reduced ammo and all that stuff. It's just a totally different gameplay design, but it's still the same. You're going through the areas. You've still got your same Zone A to Zone B to Zone C. Clear the zones of the mobs. In God of War's case, you have to clear all the mobs. You don't get the choice of just running past them. I think there's a couple of sections maybe where you can. The vast majority, you have to kill them all. It's a lot of Dust of Realms. But with the mods, it has that difference. But again, I'm on console, so I'm very limited. So there could be solutions to this that are already thought of. Maybe there's already someone working on a seamless co-op God of War mod, and they've already made it. And you could have multiple Kratoses yelling out, "Boar, boar." Oh, that was terrible. There it is. Okay, fortification. So is it going to be another 9 out of 10? Is it going to be a 10 out of 10? Is that going to be a game that you can play again and again and again, and people just can't stop themselves playing it again? Because by that measure, Elden Ring's not 10 out of 10 either. And that's just purely because, I mean, the multiplayer is garbage. It is garbage. They had the opportunity with Elden Ring to learn. I might do an Elden Ring review and just be straight up with that. I'll do that. I'm not going to pollute this one too much more. But the multiplayer in that is garbage. They had opportunities to learn from Team Ninja and Niowa, and they just said, They just didn't want to because they're just assholes in that regard. But, you know, you steal from the others. So stealing from others, God of War, what can it steal? If you could play co-op, one person plays as Atreus, you play as Kratos, and you can swap at any time. Maybe that creates that sort of thing. Maybe guys can play with their girlfriends, and the girlfriend plays as Atreus. You know? I mean, the game's going to come out, people are going to stream it, and the story will be spoiled. You have to play it for yourself first, then watch the streamers play it. So it's kind of like, unless you want to watch the big ones and you don't care, you don't even buy the game. So that's the other flaw of story games, is that you can just watch someone else play it and then you don't play it. But God of War should be better than that, so it'll pass that threshold, I would have thought. And the majority will still play it. But I always think, if you watched a streamer play God of War, I reckon the chance of you buying the game did reduce. May not be a huge amount, but I reckon it did. You probably thought, oh, I already know what happens here. It's not as fresh and exciting. And that's the whole point. Multiple playthroughs, not as fresh as exciting, and doesn't just throw in some random something into the mix. So random modifiers. Each zone could have random modifiers. Suddenly the floor is lava. Or you can't stay still for more than 2 seconds before getting lit on fire. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of things you can do to make the replayability better. And I'm sure they do it on PC. Bastards. And the onus is on the game developer. It's not on the community to come up with these. And yet the community probably will come up with them. It's frustrating because it's such a good game. And you're like, I'm like, I just don't want to get in the boat. I do not want to get in the boat ever again. So when Ragnarok comes around, I'm going to have to get in the fucking boat. I don't want to go in the bloody boat again. Stupid boat. Where's my jet ski? Where is the helicopter? You know, we rode a dragon for a little bit. Get us a little dragon we can ride around it. We could do the transition between Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, where you can actually fly. That was a good thing they added. I'm happy with that. It changes the way you perceive the world. So, can we get a change in perception of the world? I think that's probably that's another thing I'm looking for. So my expectations are crazy high. Crazy high. Is that unfair? Is it totally unfair of me to think that they can find a way to break through what is the constraints of modern gaming? Something that can be loved forever. It's happened plenty of times. I mean, there's plenty of people who can say that they have a game that they love. And the reasons may not be simple or even it may not be easy to explain. They just may feel a connection to the game. Something that makes it live on forever. That's the kind of thing we're doing with it. I mean, games are art. So we're trying to make a masterpiece. We're not just making mobile shit. So will we get God of War 1.5? Or will we get something that changes the perception of the world? Which again, our perception is so narrow anyway, that shouldn't be too hard. Makes the world feel more immersive. Gives us other civilizations so we feel like there is a frickin' world. Give us Atreus being, you know, he'll be better. His character will get better. Playable Atreus. We'll have that section. Or an option. Swap at any time would be great. We'll have all the different armor things. I don't think we need to worry about that part of it. The RPG elements, I think they'll repeat. I don't know how much variation they'll have. They'll have new... You won't be able to carry over. I suppose that's another point that they could have done. Which we'll see if they do, but I very much doubt it. It'd be great if you could carry over your Ragnarok 1 character to Ragnarok 2. I mean, yeah, to God of War 2 from God of War 1. But they won't do that because they're not brave. They'll just think you'll be... You know, they won't scale the enemies in a way that makes the game rewarding. So they'll just go, oh, you have to start new. You lost everything you had before. And they'll explain it with, oh, you fell down, you lost your memory. You're unconscious. You were beaten in a fight and suddenly lost all your equipment. You know, they were. If they give us a good explanation, I'll be surprised. It'll be justification, not explanation. The overmap thing's pretty average too. I think I'd want to, you know, make this look a bit better. So these are my Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok demands. Find a way to break through. Find a way to make an engaging game that can be enjoyable. Do you have the variability in the dialogue, so much so that in repeat playthroughs those characters are still saying things that surprise you? That you learn more about the characters the more you beat the game. So if you beat the game 3 times, you know much more about the characters than you did playing through the first time. But is that limiting to the narrative? Is the game strong enough to drive, to be written in such a way that it does reveal more the more you play through it? Do you unlock the lore through repeated game? You have to play through again and again. Do you even lock off sections of the game? Because upon beating the game, you get an item that unlocks more areas. So you have hidden areas that are open because you beat the game and you unlocked a special item, a special key that opens special doors that you can only use when you're in New Game Plus. You got to play through it again. Do you get New Game Plus Plus? Do they give you a scaling enemy thing so you can keep leveling, so you can keep getting, you know, do you have a skill that just increases flat damage by, you know, 5% that you can level up past 1,000, and defense that goes up, you know, plus 5% or 5 in raw value and just goes up forever? So you have an RPG element that can sustain scaling, infinite scaling of enemies that you can keep playing through and have a reward. Like if you've play through New Game Plus 10, if you've gotten through that, you get like a special set of armor that's like incredibly awesome looking and makes you feel like a badass that you can brag about. Because you can't brag about, I mean, look at my legendary stuff here, but I can't brag about it. It's God of War. Everyone's got legendary stuff by the end. If they've, you know, if they've done a bit of the DLC, well, not even DLC, the extra areas, and you get a full set of something special. And just stack health regeneration because you're crazy. But it's that. It's like. So I want them to go from being. I mean, do they want them to become like a Dark Souls 3? Become more like Elden Ring in that you could play through, get New Game Pluses and go through again and again, and the bosses get stronger and you get stronger. But then Elden Ring's sort of capped on your stats. So I feel like, you know, it gets to a point where it is still ridiculously hard, so it doesn't allow you to become a god, which I think is wrong, because the point of the game is to kill a god, but it's not like you become a god. And again, that's where I'll talk about it in Elden Ring. I keep getting distracted, but it's the comparisons. This is where we get, you compare the different art forms, artworks, and you draw conclusions. You go, well, this is missing, or this is different, or this is deficient, or this is better, or this is worse. This is a game I care about. It's a franchise I care about more now. Not originally. Very different. The very different atmosphere it had in the first 3. And I want it to break the mold a tiny bit. I mean, I want it to be something, you know. If it finishes and we don't beat Odin and we just beat Thor, and Atreus becomes awesome and like has godly powers and shit and is just overpowered, and we find Fenrir and all that stuff and Loki and Floki, or, you know, we did the whole Loki thing with the dog and the Odin and the whole, you know, if we actually go to the Ragnarok and then all the spirits in Valhalla return and they're immortal, overpowered, super mega boss dudes, and then they destroy the world, then yeah, scale is up and it's more threat and it's more epic. It's but if they hold back and then they plan for a third one, it makes, I don't know, it makes this one and it makes the next one lesser in my mind. I mean, sequels always are suffering because of the original. So is it going to be 8 out of 10? Because it just repeats the same gameplay mechanics, Atreus isn't likable, and he still isn't likable. You have the stupid witch lady, Odin's former wife, who, you know, birthed the kid who couldn't feel anything because she didn't want him to feel any pain, and she's just a terrible character. We'll have a romance, Atreus will have a romance element. I mean, there's so many things that, you know, could be involved or not involved, and speculation is rife, and I'm speculating. Yep, sue me. But this is a 9 out of 10 game, not 10 out of 10. And I'm sick of hearing that bullcrap. There's, in my mind, whatever you think is your 10 out of 10 game is personal to you, and you love it, despite its flaws. It's won you over. It has a charm, something that's inexplicable, and something that it's hard to explain to others. But I don't think you get 10 out of 10 unless it is that. And that's why, you know, Elden Ring's not 10 out of 10. God of War's not 10 out of 10. Last of Us 1 is really, really good. That's closer to 10 out of 10 than God of War. And that's just because I love the story. I loved at the end you had the choice before they changed it. I feel like they changed it. You could actually let, you know, Ellie be operated on and die. Or, you know, or you could save it. I love the choice, and something that's so disappointing about the sequel is you got no choice. It's just disgraceful was the second one. So again, do you need choice in God of War? I'd love choice. That's another flaw in the game. You don't choose who lives and who dies in the critical moments. Atreus here, he chooses. He's in complete control. He's the main character. So more choices would be great, and then have consequence in the end game. Consequence for the world and how it looks. Alright, so we've got New Game Plus there. At least it's in the option menu. Blah 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 blah. Go back to photo mode. Yeah, let's go back to photo mode. I've talked a lot. I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts and feelings. Whether you're worried, whether you think it'll be just 10 out of 10 and everyone will give it the same. Everyone will be happy. Kratos will be happy. Whether he can have a happy ever after. Because obviously not. Because the burden of his karma and the killing of the gods and killing his father and etc. All of that weighs on him forever, and he's forever sad. Ooh. Wink, 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 wink. They'll improve. One thing I guarantee is they'll improve the photo mode. I'll look at Horizon Forbidden West. Photo mode is crazy. Crazy expressions. And there'll be all this accessibility stuff as well. So there'll be a huge amount of emphasis on accessibility. So you should be able to play the game if you've, no matter how many fingers and things you've got, you should be able to play the game. So that's kind of one of the things that they have improved a lot on. It should be commended. Smoochy smooch. Yeah, so I think I'm done. Out of all the flaws, I hope you have sold basically what I'm trying to say about my feelings about how it isn't 10 out of 10. In my personal experience, you might be different. You may give away 10 out of 10s. Like IGN and all those shitholes. You know, they just get paid. The paid shills. And to ever imagine any game as a standalone thing, you know, I mean, everything is a reflection of the world it's in. So you can't ignore the contextual aspects of any art. it's kind of like, as much as you want to ignore who made the game and why they made the game, I think it does play a part. Franchise rebooted. Can it reach new heights? Will it be cross-eyed? Whoa! We're upside down. Okay, that's good. So yeah, hard the UI, that'll do. So yeah, will we get some sort of Inception style mind bending? You know, not like Far Cry when they just chuck drugs everywhere. Some sort of distortion of your perception of the world, an upside down place, some sort of, you know, mirror reflection. Spice things up. So I'm thinking about all the things they can use to spice the game up. And it's like, well, if it doesn't need that, yes, because it's a sequel. It has to be different. Is that going to make the game worse by forcing it to be different, by introducing new areas? Should they just keep the same areas and just give you new missions? It's like, what works? And if they think what they've got is perfect, then they're wrong. It's just, that is always that's the downfall of success. It leads you into paths you think are right, and then people just get over it. They don't want to do it again. They had enough stealth sections in some games because they're just tedious bullcrap. So that fine line between a game that's grindy, a game that's got story, that's story heavy, that's dialogue heavy, that's traveling heavy, that you're in the stupid boat forever. Yeah. I hope it's good. I'm sure it'll be good. No assurances, no assumptions, no presumptions. Nothing is great, nothing is awesome. Only your experience dictates whether it's good. You decide. The reviews can be whatever. So many of them is just utter bullshit. And again, you can think my reviews are utter bullshit. And I'm happy to be able to express that opinion. That's not a problem with me. Because I'm talking about my feelings. Your feelings matter. My feelings matter. People chuck them away and say you've got to, you know, revise and articulate them to perfection before you deliver them. But there's a rawness there that I think has value. And maybe we don't interpret our own feelings to perfection. We're not able to articulate them into divine novel. Something that can be put into poetry that could last 1,000 years. It doesn't. We all have different frameworks, contextual parts of our lives to work through the information that's presented to us and interpret the information, interpret the world in the way that we see and reflect upon ourselves, the characters, and what kind of decision, how they come to the decisions that they make. Do we have to justify them? They justify themselves. It's the tricky thing. It's why I think games are great, because they are art. And there is so much beauty in the eye of the beholder, or, you know, disgust in the eye of the depressed, and the cynicism. People go, well, there's only been a couple of good games. There's no good games anymore. And that's how they perceive it. There's no point arguing with them. There's no point saying, there's a good game. I played a good game, but it was this one. And they go, well, according to you, that was good, but I played it. It was shit. You just move on. You just present the next artwork. Show the next painting. Tell them ask them what they think. And then maybe they can't explain what they think. That's okay. It's the trying to explain what you think that matters, in my mind. Trying to explain how you feel. Expressing it. That's what matters. Now, sometimes that can be really negative, and people may face the brunt of that. That's humanity. Alright, so this has been Frosty Fire 10. Rambling on about God of War Ragnarok, God of War. So this is a review and a speculation. So I thought it was I'll title it as such. God of War Ragnarok speculation with a God of War review. It's a 9 out of 10 game, God of War. It has some fatal flaws, but they're only fatal if you want to play the game multiple times. So it's like a good meal. Once you've eaten it, it's gone. It's in your stomach, you shit it out. Ragnarok, I hope, can surpass. This is what I want. I want it to surpass God of War. I want Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, to break through. To make a game that can be something that lasts forever. Something that people replay when you get the PlayStation 6 or the Xbox mega super ultra Bill Gates version, or the PC with the thing as big as the house when we finally get back to that, or as small as like a thumb, your thumbnail. Something that endures, something that offers so much again and again and again and again and again. And if that has to be done with deception, that it covers up elements and then reveals them as you play through again and again, I think that could maybe a worthy price to play. So yeah, like and subscribe. This has been an essay, game essay. I'll just call it essay. Thoughts and feelings. Express them in the comments. I'd love some comments. I hope you survived the first 30 seconds, because that's all we're worried about in the analytics. First 30 seconds, bam. That's where it is. That's where it's decided. Another Australian rapping about games. But I care so much. So much of my childhood and adulthood and oldhood wrapped up in these art form. And I think they deserve a lot more respect. But I think the more critique, the better. I think the more discussion, the better. The more expression of your thoughts and feelings, the better. The world's alive. We're not alone. There is community. There is a wider world community. How can we connect if we don't reach out? God of War Ragnarok, hope it's good. Hope it's awesome. Hope it's more than anything I can ever imagine. That would be awesome. Because again, everyone's limited. Now I've been upside down for a while, so let's leave it like that. That'll do. That's a good ending shot. Seagulls. Oh, I want Kratos in the shot. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Peace and chicken grease. Hope you have a nice morning, evening, afternoon, night. And if you watched this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I really do. Keep it civil in the comments, please. If we even get any. It's like, here's what it is. Alright. This has been my TED Talk. My long essay. I hope you participate, because I do consider what other people say. I'm one of those weirdos, but I still can't ignore my own feelings. So it's kind of like other people's reviews sort of affect me in that way. I do reflect. But yeah, God of War, 9 out of 10. Ragnarok, I hope it surpasses the original, does something different, becomes more. And not just longer, actually breaks through makes the end game something better. New Game Plus is, maybe that's just an excuse. Alright. Frostify 10 out. Peace. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.